Hey guys, Bart the Nature Guy. The snow is just starting to come down. It's Monday morning of this weekend, March, and it's we're going to get a little blast back of that cold, so I can start to feel. I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but there's snow starting to come down again, and this week is kind of going through forts. So last week we kind of started doing more survival stuff. And so I wanted to kind of get into that kind of fort building phase of shelter building. In classes, I'm going to be teaching tarp stuff. And so I'm going to send another video that I made last spring on tarps. But this is going to be a combination week between what I do in regards to the nature engagement, but also with shelter location stuff. So what I want to do today is just kind of have everybody take a chance to get outside, and I want you to look for a fort spot. That's something we used to do as kids a lot, especially when we were really little, but finding that spot for a good fort. There's lots of things that make a good location and make for a good fort. And when you're looking at survival stuff, it's a little bit different. So I want to kind of go through some things that you, maybe if you're walking around your neighborhood, you can kind of go, okay, that's a good spot, you know, or that's a really bad spot. Part of it is just eliminating bad locations too. So that's kind of what I want to do. I'm walking through the woods here. I don't really know what I'm going to run into. And so I kind of just figured we'd do a little walk and talk and see if I can find a good location, and kind of talk through as we're walking, talk through some of those things that might be good things to kind of keep your eyes out for. It's kind of just staying present with what kind of comes to you, and then also kind of what would be something to look for. There's lots of things. So a couple different things. I'm in this kind of, you can kind of see it's a kind of a hilly location, you know, and and I'm also on the south facing slope. So especially in the springtime and when you're trying to gather warmth, you're going to want to look for a slope that faces to the south. And if you have the ability to get that location, that's great, especially this time of year, because that's going to be the warmer side. If you notice right now with a lot of the snow melt, you're still going to see some of the houses that have on the north facing side, you're still, or like a fence line, you're still going to see some snow possibly right along that. And especially when we get this fresh snow, keep your eyes peeled, because you'll notice that like the south side, the hillsides that face to the south, which is this direction, is the south is down here. This hillside that right here, this hill right here, is going to be snowless because it takes more sun during the day. And so the lakes will generally also kind of unfreeze that way as well. So what will be the north side of the lake will actually get more sun through the day because it's kind of south facing. And so you'll see lakes kind of break apart that way as well. Now, opposite, if you were in a really, really warm climate, let's say you were lost in the desert shelter survival, you might want to find the north-facing slope because you're going to be shaded through most of the day, and that side of the hillside is not going to take as much sun. So just know, south-facing to the south, that's going to be keeping you warm. Just if you're facing to the north, you're going to get, you know, it's going to stay cooler. And so, and it's just like going south for winter, for migratory birds, they're going towards the warmth. So if you're facing south, it's going to keep you warmer. So enough of that really. But it also means in regards to a slope, we know that warm air rises and cold air settles. So if this time of year, if you're trying to maximize your heat, to go way down in the bottom there, all this cold air in this valley is going to settle down. And so that means at night it's going to get colder and colder. So one of the things that you want to do is everything kind of in moderation. So, you know, being on the top of a hill, if there's any breeze, that's really going to take a lot of your heat out. So one of the key things that you're looking for in a shelter design is actually trying to minimize any sort of wind. If I don't know about you, but like wind will make me colder than almost anything else. Besides water. So, you know, even if I have a jacket on, if the wind's blowing, it's kind of pulling my heat away from me. So one of the things with a shelter that you're trying to do is maximize your heat retention, which means you want to get out of the wind. It's a huge piece. And so that wind is going to be the key element that you're going to, so you're also going to want to look for the wind direction. Like right now I can feel, and you might see a snowflake kind of come by this way. That means I'm going to want to build my shelter and make sure I'm facing kind of away from the wind. So my back is going to be to the wind. If I have any sort of tarp, or even if I'm doing a lean-to design, I want to make sure that that lean-to design is I'm protecting myself from the wind on that open side, facing, you know, that the wind is kind of coming towards that wall that I'm creating for myself. So it might be a tree down that you're going to kind of find a way to be against. And again, you don't want that wind blowing in your face and kind of pulling all your heat away from you. So especially if it involves any sort of fire piece, which we're not going to do today. So we're just looking for kind of an overnight emergency shelter. How would you tuck in for the night, and how do you maximize your heat retention? And what do you have with you? So we're not going to get into the different items. This is just simple location style talk. So, and that means that you'll want to also find a spot in a mid-level. So you don't want to sleep with your feet way down. You don't want to sleep with your head, you know, like, you want to find a nice level spot to sleep as much as you can. So it could be, even if you're on a slope, finding a spot. I'm gonna see if I can do this with my camera. Whoa, almost tipped over. Here we go, we'll go this way. That's better. So, you know, if you're here, you don't want to be at the top of the hill, way too windy. At the bottom, it's going to get super cold this time of year. And you're looking for a little, like you almost see like my knuckle, like a little bump right there. So, where you can maybe find like a trail of some sort, or a little outcropping, where also if it rains, all that water is going to go past you. It's not going to settle into where you are at the bottom. At the top, again, you're going to deal with a lot of weather in regards to wind, and kind of being exposed. So you're trying to find a spot where that wind is low, and also on the macro level and the micro level, same thing. You want to make sure that your wind, you're maximizing your heat retention by just kind of staying out of the wind. So let's see if I can walk right now with you. We'll see if this works. I'm just kind of walking and looking for a spot here. So the wind is kind of coming into my face here, so I'm looking forward. And the other thing you don't want to look for, you want to pay attention to, is what's above you, because you don't want a tree or a branch coming down on you. So like, I'll show you right here. I'm gonna flip this around. See that right there? That's bad stuff up there. That's all broken branches. You do not, even though you might find like see that spot right there? Like you might find like a little shelter spot inside there that you could really build up, but that's all bad stuff. They call those, in the world of camping, widowmakers, and which means you do not want, especially if there's bad weather, that something like that falling down on you. So you have to check your above spot as well as your below spot. Oh, here we go. So you see this bench here. I'm walking along a trail, but I'm gonna walk. See how this trail kind of shoots off in here? So I have uphill, downhill, but right here I have a little flat area. So this is actually a really good spot. Walking through with you guys. Oh yeah. So now I have like a little flat area. It still goes down, so that means that cold air is going to travel down the hill still. Uphill, I'm now not exposed from the cold. I also I'm on a south-facing slope, so I'm going to get the warmth, and also the eastern sun will come in as quickly as possible to help me warm up in the morning. And I have a down tree here that actually might make for a nice little spot. So yeah, right in here. So you can see this tree's already down, so I don't have to worry about something coming down on top of me. There's not any big branches above me. There's some dead trees, but there's actually nothing too major above me. And also see if you can see this big log right here. That's going to protect me if anything does come down. And so you can see that you can kind of get right into there. And this tree again is not going to come down anymore. It's it's flat on the ground as possible, and you have a little hole right in there, and that's going to, again, the lean-to, the wind's going to come into that. I can put my back to the wind and tuck in there for the night. So that's a little spot that I'm asking for you guys to look for this week's nature invitation, but it also kind of is working in combination of actually our kind of shelter building and kind of wilderness stuff that we're doing now. So finding a little spot like that, see a little, you can see it pretty clearly. There's a nice little hole underneath this big dead tree. So it starts all the way up here, goes all the way down, but right here there's a little bow. I don't do that well with my finger. It's kind of funny. So right here, so there's a little up and over. And that little spot is somewhere you can slide on in, put your back to the wind, build up some debris on the other side to protect yourself from the wind, get that lean-to design. The downside would be if you did want to have some sort of fire, if you had a fire starting method, this would not be a good location because right above you, that flame's got to go somewhere and they'd probably light this whole thing on fire. So if you don't have a fire, this is a great location to kind of tuck into. You're on a little flat spot, midway through the hill. So going way up to the hill here, you're well protected. But if you see this open area, this little outcropping might be a little bit better for, if you did have some sort of fire starting method. You're going to want to watch what's above you in order to maintain safety for not only for yourself but the whole forest at that point. So that is it, folks.